Hi, and welcome. Thank you for joining me today for episode 2. And today we'll be talking about the foundation of relationships. What is the foundation of relationships? So I have a little riddle for you. Riddle me this. Neither bought nor sold, but more valuable than gold. It is built, but not by hand. What is it?
Too late.
I hope some of you got that. It's trust. So trust is the foundation of any relationship. It's just not given freely. You have to earn it. You earn my trust. Today we'll talk about earning trust and what does it take to earn someone's trust. But first, I want to talk about our first experience with trust. In my field, I work with families and children. I often tell parents, your eyes are the window to your child's world. That's your first experience as a human being, is your parents' eyes. And through them, you begin to understand what the world is like. When a mother responds to her baby, as soon as the baby cries, and the mom goes and picks up the baby, and then the baby soothes and they put the baby back down, and the baby cries and the mom picks up the baby again. What that baby starts to understand is that I can trust mom. I know she's going to come every time I cry. So that is that first experience in trust. Is it possible that during your childhood, you experienced trust in a different way, and so you realize that you cannot trust the world? Of course. Of course, there's always two sides to a coin. So there are people who grow up knowing that you can't trust anybody, including your parents. As sad as it may be, it's not a lost cause, though. I feel as though that you can retrain yourself to learn about trust. I feel as though that you can have your own relationship with trust, your own experiences that could change your world and how you see things. But I also like to point out that trust is fragile. I mean, it is very, very fragile. If we think about a relationship and we think about that our foundation is built on trust, you could only imagine that if that foundation starts to crack, everything else in that relationship starts to crumble. You know, if we took it as a person, it's fragile, it's sensitive, it's prideful. People give it and people take it away. So trust has a lot of ego with it. It has a lot of power. It has the power to change and make, break. It has the power to destroy. Take, for instance, there is a documentary called Trust is Fragile, and it is the story of Jason Blair. And he worked for the New York Times. He wrote story after story, and he went to the top of his industry. I mean, people really flocked to him, and he was in his prime in his career. He was an African American. What happened with Jason Blair is that his cover was blown. Come to find out, his stories were all plagiarized. It did a number on New York Times. Not only did it do a number on the New York Times, but you can only imagine that it did a number on the readers of the New York Times. Trust is fragile. When someone breaks that trust, it is magnified 10 times more than what it is. It is personalized. I mean, people start to feel like it was literally done to them. They feel jaded. They feel mad, of course. That's how much power trust has. When something chips away at it, it can change how you see the world and how you interact with it. Let's go back to that Jason Blair and that documentary. When that struck, it was over for him. But it doesn't always happen that way. Trust doesn't always disappear instantaneously. For some people, and most of us, I would say, most of us, trust is chipped away. Someone takes a chisel and chips away at it. I'm going to put the responsibility back to the person that's losing the trust, because when it is chipped away, it is you doing the chipping away, right? You're the one chiseling away at the trust that you had for this person, for life, for people. I often hear, and I will speak only at this point from my experience as a woman, I often hear other women say, I don't trust females. And that's interesting because then, you're really giving me a window to how you feel about yourself. Because you're a female. And wonder what that first experience with females was like. Did you tell a secret to your best friend, whom you thought was your best friend, and she told someone else? And you start to imagine that, I might not be able to trust females. Or you're in a relationship and your partner cheats on you with your best friend. And that chips away at your trust. It also chips away at the trust that you have for your partner. But I bet your bottom dollar you won't leave him. Because it's a little different. You only could forgive one person at a time. So with that being said, the partner will probably be the one you forgive. Of course, you'll give him a hard time, though. He's going to have to pay for that. Speaking about that, you start to punish people for taking away the trust that you had. You start to punish them. And you know how? You start to give away less of yourself. You start to show less of yourself. And granted, everybody can't get all of you. That's really the truth. Because everybody can't handle all of you. Of course, we don't hide who we are. But we don't let all of us out because of fear of rejection. Now, rejection has to do with trust, right? I don't trust that you won't regret or that you won't reject me. So that's what trust does. And once you have that experience that really, that experience that hurts you to your core, you never look at the world the same. You adjust how you approach things. You adjust how you approach your relationship with your friends, with your partner, with the salesman who comes to the door. So, you do adjust. You adjust. You go, I don't trust it no more. Nope. I had this happen to me too many times, and I can't trust it. So, I get it. You got it, right? But what does that do to you? What does that take away from you? It takes away experiences. It's almost like we block feelings. We start blocking feelings because we don't trust that we can handle them and we will survive and we will forgive ourselves. But trust comes along with regret. You know, that regret that you have when you trusted someone or something and it didn't fall through? And you like, I just knew it. I knew it. You had suspicion, but not enough. And that goes back to episode 1. When we talk about Malcolm Gladwell's book, Talking to Strangers. That suspicion, but just not enough. But when it happens, you go, man, I knew I shouldn't have trusted you. I knew it. I knew I shouldn't trust you. But did you really trust them that much? When you can say, I knew I shouldn't have trusted you, were you really trusting them? Or were you just waiting for the moment to say that? That's something to think about. You could have been waiting for the moment to say that. Watching and lurking and waiting for just one thing to say, I knew it, to prove yourself right. And that's how you trust people. You trust people until they prove you different. That's a good philosophy. That was mine. That was my good, I'll trust you until you prove me different. I'm okay with trust. I give trust away. That was literally how I saw trust. I've had a relationship with trust. I mean, when I was young, I really didn't trust anybody. Not at all. And I had reasons. I did. I had really, really, really good reasons. Because remember, I told you that your parents' eyes are the window to the world. And those eyes I was looking at, couldn't trust them. So, I've had, in various times in my life, experience with trust. And I could have remained that way. I could have went on through life not trusting anybody, but I probably wouldn't have got anything done. You had to trust somebody, right? And then I reevaluated trust at some point in my life, and I decided, I trust you. I trust you as soon as I meet you. Because I'm going to trust you until you prove me different. And the bottom line was, I was always looking for that different. I really had my radar up, and I was looking for something, one thing. It only has to be one thing for me to figure out how much I can trust you. Just one little thing. And sometimes people are good. I'll say it that you will never be able to figure out people. You can have some kind of framework on people, but people, they are some strange things, including myself. So I had a framework, that I was working with, and I was looking for the person to prove to me how much of my trust they can have. And so I thought, wow, is that really good? That's really good, Because the bottom line is, I'm the owner of trust. I give it and I take it away. I'm the owner. I am the all-powerful with the trust thing. Okay? That's how it happens. That's what it's about. And when somebody takes away your trust or does something that changes how you feel, oh, it's not going to happen again. At least with not that person, right? Because then we go on and we let our guards down again. And we allow something to happen again. Trust is hard. I mean, you can meet people and they'll say, "I trust you." Yeah, okay. And do you trust me? And if I make a mistake or if I do something, would you be able to forgive me? Would you be able to forgive me and start over and allow me to earn that trust again? Or would you possibly say you forgive me and make me work extra hard at gaining your trust back? I mean, extra hard. Hard. Making it so hard that it ain't even worth it. You know, there are times when you can meet somebody and it's like you don't even have to try. It's just this connection. And then you can meet some people and they're a lot of work. A lot of work. Man, you be like, dude, you a lot of work. And I don't know if you worth it because I'm old. So, and you know what you're dealing with when you're doing that work thing? You're dealing with their trust issues. When somebody's a lot of work, you're dealing with their trust. You're dealing with their guards. But the foundation of it all is trust. That is what you're dealing with. And that is what you're working through. And it's really hard to work on somebody else's bullshit. That's the bottom line. It makes it extra hard because you really don't know what you're working with. You don't know if they have trust issues because of mommy, daddy, friends, girlfriends, themselves, whatever. You don't know what you're working against because it's just the person in front of you. But inside of them, they are wired with history and experience. And that's what you're working against. And it's hard to work with someone who doesn't have a clue, who hasn't done the work themselves, so that you can say, okay, I won't do that no more. You know, when you admit, for me, I had to even admit to my husband, I remember at one point in our relationship or our marriage, that I don't trust that you won't leave. So I would try to leave, like I would be like, it's done. As soon as we had like an argument, and this is very early on, and we've been together 20 something years. So very early on, I would say, you know, if we argued, I would say, okay, it's over. Because I didn't trust that he could love me. And I couldn't trust that I could be myself and we can have an argument and he wouldn't walk out that door. So guess who was the first person to try to walk out the door? Me. Because I didn't want to be the one hurt. Oh, I know what you're going to do. You're going to hurt me. So I'm going to leave. I mean, I did that with a lot of people. I did that a lot. There was a lot of good people that came into my life. And because I had trust issues, I didn't further any relationship with them. You know what? I saved them. I saved them a lot of work. Because at that point in my life, I was a lot of work. I didn't trust you were going to stay. I didn't trust that you loved me. Who loved me? Because I learned early on. And you can't trust love. So, did a lot of things. Did a lot of things to deflect trust and people and things like that. And thought in my process of doing what I was doing that I wasn't hurting myself. Oh yeah, I was. I was hurting myself. In some ways, I was abusing myself and thinking that it was okay to do what I did. Nah, it wasn't. Because ultimately, I had to look myself in the mirror. Trust could leave you with regret, you know? And not just because you knew it and you did it, but just because you got to live with yourself after that and work that out. And part of that working out is forgiving yourself. Forgiving yourself for not being more vigilant, for not being more aware, for letting your guards down, for knowing but not knowing. You know, forgiving yourself for not knowing what you did not know. That's how it works. I can't pay the price for something I did not know. But once I know, that's a different story. Because when you know better, you do better. And basically, you have to forgive yourself and move forward. It happened, whatever. And you can take responsibility, not take responsibility. I would switch the story up and I would take the responsibility. Tell the story just a little bit different with a twist. And what was my part in that story? And that trust, what was my part in that? And I think you can, it's much easier to move on when you realize you had a part in that. So if you're walking around with trust with regrets, or knowing that your trust is fragile so you don't let it out, I don't know how simple this is, but my recommendation is you forgive yourself. You forgive yourself for not knowing what you did not know. And the other part is everything that happened prior to age 18, 19, I'm going to give 21 because people are developing a little late. Everything that happened to you from age 0 to 21, you had no control over that. Not really. Your frontal lobe wasn't even developed. Frontal lobe's developed by the age 25, and I think they're pushing it back to 27. So, responsibility, the things that you do in that age range, not your fault. You're not fully developed. Some of it you had no control over. Big part of that, you had no control over it. There is nothing you can do about that. So if your trust issues are coming from early on, you have to forgive yourself for what you did not know. And move forward and take a chance. It's not all that bad to feel something, because you feel something already when you withhold who you are. And when you withhold your trust, you feel something already. Why don't you let your guard down? Relax your shoulders a little bit. And find out what another feeling feels like. It ain't going to be the same one. Hey, we all get hurt. We do. And butt hurt at that. And sometimes I tend to believe that we hurt our own selves. Just with the things that go on in our head. So, Forgive yourself. You can be the owner of trust. You can decide how much of it you're going to give away. You can do that because everybody don't deserve all of it. There are some people that deserve all of you. Those are those important relationships. Those are those ones that they deserve all of me. Even if it hurts. Even if it's gonna hurt, I want to give them all of me. And there's some people and there's some experiences that you don't need to give it all. I want you to take the time and figure out, what is your relationship with trust? Write it down. Tell a story. Keep it to yourself if you like. What is your relationship with trust? And how is that relationship bring out the best in you? How does your relationship with trust bring out the best or the worst in you? That's something to consider. Does it always bring out the best in you? Or does it bring out the worst in you? And when it brings out the worst in you, what does that look like? It's a little homework for y'all to do. I think I'm going to leave with that Maya Angelou saying again. So Maya Angelou, full statement. I know I said it in episode 1, but I'm going to say it now. It says, I don't trust people who do not love themselves and tell you, I love you. There is an African saying, which is, be careful when a naked person offers you a shirt. There's that thing with trust there. She says, I don't trust people who don't love themselves and tell you I love you. That's interesting. And a naked person offering you something that they don't have themselves. Be careful. That's what you can be, is be careful. Be careful, I guess, on who you trust and what you put your trust in. But also be forgiving. Also be bold and challenge yourself. And also be aware. Do a check-in. Say, I'm feeling like I don't trust this person. What's going on? Examine that. Again, when I was suspicious. I had a feeling. What was that feeling about? Why? Why did you have that feeling? I just felt like I couldn't trust that. Why? But why? Go a little further than I felt like it. There is emotional complexity to everything we feel. And basically, we are stuck in this 3 feeling phase. Mad, glad, happy, sad, whatever. I think they're all the same. Mad, glad, and sad. But there's more. It's totally complex. There are more ways to explain. We haven't learned that. It's called emotional intelligence. They don't teach that in school, although I think they are moving towards that. So that's just my little in on that. And there's, if you are parents out there, there is a website called Think Equal. ThinkEqual.org. And if it's not .org, it's .com. They give you free books, 6 books, talk about differences, talk about social and emotional thoughts or skills, various things on diversity. So I would, if we want to be different, again, it starts with your parenting techniques. It's so easy to work with a child and develop a child. It is much, much harder to develop an adult. It is a lot of work. So I encourage you again. I will put it up on my Facebook. I will also probably my Instagram. So it's thinkequal.org. Free books for your kids, teaching them in social and emotional stuff. Also, you can also do that with a calming corner. And I know I'm going on a little sideways, but calming corners also give your children an opportunity to identify their anger or identify their emotion or their feeling and what they can do to get to the next feeling. So if you can't tell, my experiences in parenting. So I think it's a great opportunity to work with our future on trust and talk about what trust is. No one teaches us trust. We learn it by our experiences, but no one talks about it. I mean, I will admit that when I was younger, I remember hearing my family member say, "You can't trust nobody." I don't know who the nobody was, but okay, you can't trust nobody. I believed it. I spent some time in that arena with trust, saying I can't trust anybody. But what I really had to come to grips with, I'm the owner of trust. And I need to trust myself. I need to trust that I can make a choice, and if it doesn't work out, I can forgive myself and I can learn from it. I can know myself enough to know how much someone can handle of me. I can take the time with people and just see them for who they are. Respect it. Decide if I want to participate in that relationship. Be in a relationship with people and figure out how much you can trust that person. You can definitely know that. If you just pay attention, again, a naked man giving you a shirt, if you just pay attention and not take the shirt and say, "Oh, thank you, I needed that." No. But why you don't have one? Take the time to get to know people. Take the time to see people for who they are. And don't make excuses for them. Don't. If you say, "I know I could trust this person with this or that." I have a variety of friends, and I love them in very different ways, and they get a different part of me. And it's because I see them. So I have friends that I can call, and at a drop of a dime, they would be here for me. And I tested that too. I did. I called somebody and said, "I need you to come here for a minute." And they come and, nothing. Or call somebody, let me borrow $5. Could you bring it to me real quick? And get it. Let me borrow, can I get 1,000? So I've done some crazy stuff. Again, because I own trust. I own it. I own my own trust. I don't own somebody else's, though. That's where you need to be clear. I own my own trust, and it is the foundation of this relationship. And to be very clear, how you would chip away at that trust is by being inconsistent and having no follow through. That's how you chip away at it. By not having integrity. If you say A and you do C, but if you say A and do A, then we got a deal. If your integrity is not there, you chip away at somebody's trust. If your word is called, back in the day that people would say, my word is bond, right? Your word is bond. Your word is bond. It is like once you put it out there, that word, wow, people hold you to it. And sometimes you got to come. Okay, I know I said that, but here's what I really mean. I ain't gonna call you back. I ain't gonna even lie. Really. And people sometimes can't appreciate that truth. But that's the only way we're going to have trust here, is that you understand that my phone calls, I call you back within 24 hours. That's it. That's how it goes. Because you will lose somebody's trust just by not picking up the phone or responding as quickly as they wanted you to. That came out of a book called I Disorder. Don't know the author, but again, the book is called I Disorder. Good book about phones and people's connection to social media and things like that. Actually, could be noted as some psychological or mental illness, actually. Yeah, got eye disorder. Check it out. But that's when I realized the importance of me and my integrity, how I held up my integrity, is when I didn't respond to people when they called me. Or I didn't text back right away. You think somebody's going to trust you after that? Not at all. And you lose the connection with that person. And communication dies. All because of that. But if you're very clear and say, when someone calls me or texts me, I promise that I will get back to you in this certain amount of time. I will get back to you. Because you ever look at a text and respond to it in your head and think that you sent that message? Never. It happens. It happens to all of us. So you may want to be clear about that with someone. You may just want to put it all on the table. Look, this is who I am. This is what I do. That's integrity. Again, trust is not, although once trust is gone, it's hard. It's hard to get back. I think I done said that already. Be careful. You are the owner of your trust. You are the one that has to forgive yourself when you have trust regret. So just be careful. Don't throw away all your experiences and your opportunities because trust gets in the way and you're afraid of getting hurt, or you're afraid of letting your guard down, or you're afraid to forgive yourself for something that you had no knowledge about prior to what you have now. Because who you are now, you were not then. And you thought nothing like you thought now. Now somebody talks to me and thinks I'm some damn smart person. But man, experience has really helped me. I haven't always been this person. And I'm really happy to identify that. And I trust that in another 10 years, I'll be more developed. I look forward to that. I look forward to having more experiences and more understanding of myself in the world. I ask you to get on that ride too. Enjoy your experiences. Learn from your experience. Your experience with yourself is the best one ever. Self-awareness. Everybody says, I'm self-aware. It's like very popular to say you're self-aware. But are you really self-aware? You could be self-aware about something. You could know. You could be like, I'm really an asshole when it comes to this. But what do you do with that self-awareness? Do you do something with it? Do you change it? Or do you just acknowledge that, I'm an asshole and that's the way I am? Or do you make a change? Or is it something that, you don't want to change? It benefits you in some way. There are levels to emotional intelligence. There are areas in which that we may be immature or coming from a different place. Because age doesn't equal knowledge. Not at all. Even education doesn't mean that you have a lot of knowledge. You have content. But emotional intelligence, that's worth its weight in gold. Do a little research on that. Emotional intelligence is your ticket to success. If you're able to manage your emotions, it's your ticket to success. It's a lot of work. But what's not a lot of work? There's nothing easy. Everything is all worth it, though. You got to put in the work. You got to be willing to put in the work. So I leave you, and I'll end it right here. And I might have said I ended it earlier, but no, I'm ending it for real. Foundation of any relationship is trust. If that foundation is not strong, or there is a dysfunction in that area, everything above that, communication, commitment, responsibility, accountability, that all crumbles. That all has a crack in it as well. The foundation got a crack. Everything else has a crack. What do you need to have trust? Ultimately, you need to be vulnerable. Vulnerability is not a bad thing. It is actually empowering. You are opening yourself up. And you are trusting that you can handle it. And that you know how to recover if it goes wrong. You know how to lick your wounds. You know how to seek out support. So I want to thank you for joining me. And I look forward to talking to you soon. God bless. And have a wonderful day.